Something new for me. I just finished this port painting and I am going to mount this on this. This is a Cradled Wood Panel. That's the inside. It's thin wood. And I use this to mount paintings on. This is something that I'm just starting to do. And what I do is, to prepare the painting, I spray Krylon UV archival varnish on it. This is a satin finish, so no sheen to it. Very, very slight sheen. And I put 2 coats on this. And then I will adhere this to this by using Liquitex Matte Medium. Bought it at Hobby Lobby. And I put on a coat on this. And then I apply this here. Now this is bigger than what this is. This is 11 by 14. This is just slightly bigger all the way around. I've got lines on here so I know where my edges are, so I can center it on the paper. And once it's on there, then I will use this brayer and flatten it out. But I'm going to show you the whole process. But to spray this, I have to go outside, or at least go in my garage. It's snowing outside today, so I won't be going outside. I will run out in my garage, spray this a couple of times, then I'll be back in and I'll show you the rest of the process. So hang tight. Okay, I've sprayed this twice and it is dry. It's been probably an hour and a half, so I've given this plenty of time to dry. And now I'll put this on. And let me tell you, this process is not a thing that you can do lickety-split. It does take a little bit of time to do this because everything needs to dry. Once I apply the Liquitex Matte Medium onto this, then I'll put some heavy books on it and let it sit for a while. Probably overnight, that would be the best. And let it adhere really good. But for now, I'm going to apply this. And I use this little sponge brush kind of thing. And it goes on very easy. And I put a good amount on there so that I make sure that I have it all covered. I'll show you one that I've already done. It was a small one. And it turned out really good. I'm so happy with it. But by doing this, you don't have to frame this. You don't have to have glass on it. It gives it a nice soft sheen by using this Dorland wax medium. And you apply that to the painting after it's all dried and everything, and it gives it just a really soft, lovely, lovely sheen to it. So I really like this. It even enhances the actual painting itself. I'm not sure if that's the right term that I would use, but I think that's what it does, is it just enhances the overall look of the painting. So you can see this is not difficult. I just want to make sure that I've got it covered evenly all over. And now I'll take this and put it on this. Line it up to where my lines are here so I know I've got it on here evenly. And straight. And then I'll take this to make sure there's no bubbles in there. And I think I don't have enough on there, so I'm going to get my brush again. I'm going to put more on here because it's got to stick really good around the edges. Because if it starts to peel up, it defeats this whole purpose here. And there's some color from the back of the painting, but that won't hurt anything. Okay, I'll try this again here. My hands off, make sure I don't have any of that Liquitex medium on either my hands or the brayer. I'm going to go over this again. Well, the paper stuck to my hand. Cut it off center again. Oh, much better. Much better. Sure, get the edges really good here. Going to just take this and wrap it down around this a little bit. Oops. Sure, I've got all the bubbles out. You can kind of feel if there's any bubbles in there. Just working out to your edges. Okay, cut that down. Art books come in handy for something besides learning how to do watercolors or learn how to do compositions or mix colors or whatever. Put this down here evenly so that you get all of the edges. And that's that for sealing this to the wood. I'm going to put you on pause for a second, grab my painting that I just finished, show you what that looks like finished, and I'll be right back. In the meantime, this is going to start drying. It'll dry overnight, then I will come back tomorrow and show you how to put the Dorland wax medium on. This is the painting that I put on the other day, and I absolutely love the finish on this. It's nice and smooth. It's got just a slight sheen on it, just very slight, very soft. But it adheres really good and looks beautiful. I'm really happy with it. Yeah, I love it. Anyway, this is going to dry overnight. I'll be back tomorrow. Talk to you soon. Welcome back. Okay, this is all dry. It's adhered really good, so I'm very happy with that. There's no bubbles in there. So the next step is to use the Dorland's wax medium. I've got a little microfiber lint-proof cloth here, and I'm just going to take this and start mixing it on here in round circular motions. And that's really all there is to it. After this dries, I'll put 2 coats on, and after this dries, then I'll buff it out, and it'll have just a very, very soft shine to it. And it's not glossy by any means. It'll be very, very subtle. I'm looking to make sure I haven't missed any areas as I'm doing this. So I'm kind of looking at the side of it from an angle. As you put it on, you can kind of hear it when it's on good. It has a little different sound when you put it on. Use my other arm. Have a little bit of a bad shoulder every now and again. So I kind of have to use the other hand. You can see how easy that went on. I'm going to let this dry for just a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes. The wax is all dry and it's ready to be buffed now. And to do that, all you need is another clean, lint-free cloth, and you're just going to start buffing it in circles. I've got 2 coats on this, by the way. Instead of showing you how I put a second coat on, which is exactly how I put on the first coat, I bypassed that and went right to the second coat, put that on after about half an hour of letting the first coat dry, and it's been about, I stopped and had some lunch, it's been about an hour since I've got both coats of the wax on here. So there's the time frame. And I'm not having to press very hard. This just removes the excess wax that's on there and gives it just a soft sheen. And that's it. Can you see that sheen? It's just barely a sheen. Certainly not as glossy as having a glass over it and then having to worry about reflections from windows around. And for me, this was a good alternative to framing because I live in a relatively small home and I don't have a ton of wall space, and if you have to mat the watercolor and then you have to frame it depending on the size frame you're using, that takes up a lot of your wall space. And with this, it's just the size of the painting. That's all it is, and it comes in all sizes. You can buy these at any of the art supply places online, Blix, Jerry's Artorama, different places like that. I found one that I think was pretty good, and it's US Art Supply. And I ordered it online and got a 3-pack for $26. And this is the 1.5" thick. I prefer the 1.5". You can go up to 2 inches, or you can go down to 7/8, I think it is. But I like the 1.5". So I've got this all buffed now, and now I'm going to take care of the edges. And so I want to show you how I do that. Now you can either take an X-Acto knife and just run along the edge. But one of the problems that I ran into on my first one that I did, and it's probably because it was my first time trying this, actually got the X-Acto knife into the edge of the wood and sliced a little bit of that. So I decided the better way to do that is to take a metal ruler, not plastic, because you'll do the same thing with plastic. Hold it up against the edge, and then you can follow along that and just go along the very edge here and cut the edge off and get nice clean lines. And I have a little bit of the Liquitex matte medium, sorry about that, along the edge, and I'm going to have to sand that. It's a little bit rough right here, so I'll sand that off, and I'll show you how I do that. And there you go. That's all there is to it. So I'll have to touch up the edges, and I'm just using a fingernail file that's got all these different sides on it. And this is the fine grit, so you can just go along the edges. I'm going to have a little bit heavier sanding. One thing that I didn't do is wipe underneath that a little bit, so I need to clean that up, and I don't think this will do it. I think I need to get some heavier sandpaper. Yeah, that won't do it. See, this is only the second time I've tried this, so I guess I still have to perfect a few things. Now you can either varnish the sides on this, or you can wax the sides, or you can paint the sides, whichever you prefer. For me, I think I would prefer just using a wood sealer. And I'll show you the wood sealer that I would use. I just happen to have some where I've used some craft things that I've done before and sealed the wood using that. So I'm going to have to fix this up here because of this mess up here I've got. So the varnish I would use, there's a couple of different kinds, and I'm using these just because I already have them. The one I've got is DecoArt DuraClean Satin Varnish. It's a polyurethane varnish. Goes on clear, you just paint it on. And the other one I have is Americana Matte Varnish. It's also a wood sealer. So since I've got more of this, I probably will just use this. And I'll just paint it on. But anyway, that's what it looks like, and that's how easy it is to do this. I have just this edge up here that I'm going to have to fix. And I'm not going to show you how to do that because I don't have the sandpaper for that. But I can take some of this off with the X-Acto knife. But I'm going to do that off camera because I don't want to mess this up. And I've got to fix this corner here where I didn't cut it all the way through. But anyway, I hope that helps you and gives you something new that you can do with your paintings. The other thing that I will let you know is if you're entering these watercolor paintings into Watercolor Society of some sort, you will need to check with them to make sure that they will allow putting them on this wood, because a lot of them don't. It's becoming more popular. A few of them are allowing that now. Most of them you have to mat and frame. So this is just, for me, this is just making this easier for my home and allowing me to hang these on my small wall space. If you have any questions, comment down below. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. I've got the pouring video is going to be coming out soon on how I did this particular painting. and I hope you will enjoy it. I'll talk to you later. Give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye. Hi guys. So I thought I would do a quick video and just recap everything. One of the things that I learned during this whole process of mounting watercolor paper to the cradled wood is if you're going to use whatever product you're going to use to adhere your paper to the wood, before you do it, I highly recommend taking some blue painter's tape and putting along the edge. Just a minute and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Before you apply either the fluid to the wood or to the paper, and then the paper onto the wood. Whichever way you choose to do it. Personally, I would put it on the wood and then put the paper on the wood after the Liquitex has been sealed. I ran into a little bit of a mess, which I didn't anticipate. I thought I had all of the Liquitex wiped off the edges, and I didn't along one side, which was this top side. It took a lot of sanding and exasperation on getting that smooth. So use tape around the edges. It will save you a ton of time. And if you do happen to get some on there and you need to sand it off, I have some of this. It's ultra flexible 3M sanding paper. It's very thin, very smooth, so it doesn't rough up any edges, but it does smooth it out and take off a potential mess. So I have it all done. I'm very happy with it now. I like the sides. They're all nice and smooth. I've applied the DuraClear, the DuraClear satin varnish. I've applied that, and I do like the looks of it. Like I said before, if you want to paint, go ahead and paint the sides. There is nothing wrong with that. If you want to use the Dorland's wax medium and wax the sides, you can do that too. It all works, but you have to take precautions, especially when, cutting the paper off of this panel. I had a little bit too much overlap, but that was the size I was working with, and I had some edges that I wanted to cut off. So I just took that particular size and put on there. Next time I think I would trim it closer to the size that I'm using. If you have to trim it, make sure that your X-Acto blade is sharp and end tight. I didn't do that. I thought it was pretty sharp, not as sharp as I should have had. You should only have to make 1 or 2 cuts to get it all clean and everything, and I've used an X-Acto knife for years, doing all kinds of things. The other thing I recommend is if you're going to cut the edges off, use a metal ruler, use it up against the side, and cut down that way. You won't cut into the wood like I did with my first one. It's a learning curve. I'm sure that there's things that I'll find that I can perfect even more, but I thought I would just come back on and let you know what I've discovered, and I still love the look of it. I can hardly wait to put this on my wall. I think it's going to be great. It's a learning curve, as is anything that's new, but I did it. So the products you're going to use, again, is the Krylon UV satin spray, or you can get it in matte. I can't see that the satin gave it any particular shine. It may have shined it up a tiny bit, but the satin worked great for me. I got this at Hobby Lobby. Use your 40% off coupon if you buy it from Hobby Lobby. That'll save you some money. I used the DecoArt DuraClean varnish, and you can get that Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Walmart, any place that sells DecoArt, or you can use another brand entirely that seals the wood as well. As long as it seals the wood, that's really all that you need. And then most importantly is the Dorland's wax medium, and I really like this. Blue painter's tape or the green frog tape or any other kind of tape you can put on the wood, that's a must, absolute must. You don't want to get the Liquitex matte medium on your painting, and you don't want to get it on the sides and let it dry, because it is a mess to get it off. I did succeed in getting it off, but it was an effort. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. I always appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Can't wait to do my next video. Bye. Have a great day.